Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to, just a health warning here, I'm going to throw some figures at you. I don't like doing that, but I think it's important just to share some figures that really are worth highlighting. The figures for January, for instance, show that the manufacturing sector growing at its fastest pace in 11 years. The NCB Purchasing Managers Index is the highest since April 2000. Employment also increased in the manufacturing sector for the second month in a row. And this isn't a flash in the pan. These figures are underpinned by an ongoing improvement in the performance and competitiveness of the manufacturing sector, which has been in evidence now for the past 2 years. More impressive still are the statistics on productivity, with output per worker increasing by 12% in 2009 and 16% in 2010. I think those figures really do validate and reflect the resilience and the flexibility of our manufacturing sector. And the good news doesn't end there. The cost reductions and productivity gains have seen Irish records reach new highs. In 2010, we set a new record for exports, hitting €161 billion. I love that number. I'm going to say it again, €161 billion. And all the projections for this year are that we're going to grow our exports by a further 7.2% to €172 billion in 2011. Our enduring popularity with inward investments is another major plus point for Ireland at the moment. Actually, Joanne talked about them there. We had 3 or 4 major announcements this week from Google, PayPal, American Medical Systems. Again, they all really validate what I'm talking about. This is a good and attractive place for inward investment. A recent survey among multinational leaders here in Ireland found that an overwhelming majority, some 85% of multinational leaders here in Ireland, have said that they intend to maintain or increase their investment here. So this is all tremendous news for the Irish economy, and it's just a pity that it doesn't get the attention that it deserves. It is up to us all now to make the most of all of this. It is clear that our improving competitiveness is having an impact on our economic performance, but we must capitalize for that. It's not simply good enough to watch something happening and hope it's going to turn out for the best. Just as it was in the past, innovation, again, will be our key to recovery. We're no slouches when it comes to getting through tough times and overcoming seemingly insurmountable challenges. I would argue that we're now better equipped than at the end of the 1950s or the end of the 1980s to take on the challenges which face us today. Just look at what might be called our national balance sheets. A few more figures here, folks, and then I'll be done. On the fixed asset side, we have more than 1.8 million people at work. That's almost double the number of people at work 50 years ago. We have a manufacturing sector which employs more than 180,000 people and generates some €40 billion in output, or more than 25% of GDP. The manufacturing sector is also responsible for the indirect employment of 130,000 people. Indeed, a strong manufacturing sector is vitally important. It is the foundation stone for which so much additional investments and jobs can be built, whether in R&D, sales and marketing, or shared services. And just, I guess, something that puts the hair standing in the back of my neck sometimes when I hear people talk about the knowledge economy and the smart economy, and don't get me wrong, I'm all for it, but some people, you almost get the inference that manufacturing is a thing of the past, that it's old hat. The critical mass of jobs are in manufacturing. If I take my own company, Medtronic, we've got 2,000 people, as Joanne said, employed in Galway. Yes, we've got a very strong R&D group there of 150 people, but the critical mass of jobs in Medtronic and the critical mass of jobs in most multinationals here in Ireland is in the manufacturing sector. So we've got a very, very precious manufacturing base, and we've got to protect it at all costs. And let's just take a moment to look at the contribution to Ireland's economy of the broader foreign direct investment sector, both in manufacturing and services. We account for 110 billion, or almost 70% of total exports, 240,000 jobs, 55% of corporation tax, 19 billion in direct expenditure, 7 billion in payroll costs, and 73% of spend on research, development, and innovation. I apologize for all the figures, but they are impressive figures, and I did want to share them with you. Of course, we also have to look at our less tangible assets, our people, and the flexibility and productivity of our people. According to the IMD World Competitiveness Yearbook 2010, Ireland was rated 4th in the world for labour productivity and 1st in the world for the availability of skilled labour, and our education system is also ranked highly for higher level achievement. So that's the figures now over now, folks, so I won't quote any more. An additional asset that we should be aware of, actually, is that a lot of Irish executives of US firms located here don't just look after the Irish operations, they also have European and global mandates. The importance of this is reflected in the fact that 2/3 of the inward investments announced by the IDA last year were from companies already located here, and they were won partly as a result of the hard lobbying of the Irish management who are out there fighting this country's cause at every opportunity. And I would like to take this opportunity as well just to welcome my own colleagues from Medtronic who are at a table down here. Most of the people around that table, if not all, have mandates beyond just the Galway site. They have European mandates and global mandates, including my own boss, Mr. Peter Walsh, who is the Senior Corporate Vice President for all of Medtronic's manufacturing activities across the world. And I'm sure that's reflected in other tables here in the room. And I think it says a lot about the type of people we have and how we're regarded across the world. I would also like to pay tribute to IDA Ireland, who are here tonight, and the role the agency plays, not just in attracting new investments, but also in supporting the existing investments here. And the hard work being done by Barry O'Leary and his team at IDA in promoting Ireland as a location for foreign direct investment cannot be underestimated. Over the years, the agency has proved really adept at recognising new and emerging industries and attracting them to Ireland. And again, I think the recent announcements are testament to the super work being done by Barry O'Leary and his team at IDA. So add to these strengths our burgeoning Well done, Gerard. Thank you, folks. Add to those strengths our burgeoning exports and our move back into a balance of payment surplus, and you have a solid platform for future growth and success. Yes, we do have serious fiscal and debt problems to contend with, but they are not insurmountable. The question is, how can we leverage our considerable strengths to overcome these problems and create another golden period for Ireland? And this brings us back to innovation. In his recent State of the Union address, and I was in the US at the time of the State of the Union address, and I got to hear it firsthand, President Obama laid out his vision of innovation as the future for the American enterprise and the US economy. The first step in winning the future is encouraging American innovation, he said. What America does better than anybody else is to spark the creativity and imagination of our people. We are the nation that put cars in driveways, that put computers in offices, the nation of Edison and the Wright brothers, the nation of Google and Facebook. In America, innovation doesn't just change our lives, it is how we make our living. President Obama laid out an agenda which would see America take the lead in research, development, and innovation across a wide range of technologies. And this is where the opportunity rests for Ireland. We are already home to Google and Facebook. We have a base of world-class innovative companies here, which is the envy of the world. And we've made real progress in fostering collaboration between these companies and the third level sector through programs like Science Foundation Ireland and PRTLI. It is now time for Ireland and the innovative companies based here to step up further and become partners of the early adopters for the new wave of American innovation heralded by President Obama. We're in a unique position where we're able to become contributors to the innovative effort rather than mere recipients. By positioning ourselves as early adopters of new innovation and through collaboration between our multinational base, our indigenous companies, and our third level sector, we can become the location of choice for the new wave of technologies coming at us, such as clean technology, connected health, and green energy. That said, we simply cannot ignore the fiscal and economic challenges and hope they will somehow resolve themselves over time. They won't, but nor will they be resolved by diktat. Ireland has a long and proud tradition of social consensus. This has served us through the good times and through the bad times, and it can and will serve us again now. Social cohesion is more important now than it ever was. Look, we all know these are tough times. What we've got to do is work together, team together, and hold our nerve as we go through them. And this brings me back to the three pillars on which future economic growth and attractiveness for foreign direct investment rest: tax, talent, and competitiveness. Our 12.5% rate of corporation tax is absolutely critical in this regard. It has been the foundation stone of Ireland's industrial policy since the mid-1990s, our most successful period ever in terms of attracting high-value inward investment. Look, there's a lot of attention right now on corporation tax, on Ireland's corporation tax rate, but actually many of the countries that we compete with, Singapore, Switzerland, France, take note, Mr. Sarkozy, Belgium and Luxembourg, all have effective tax rates who are actually lower than Ireland's. The OECD has already stated that one of the worst things a country can do to its economy is to increase its corporate tax rate. So look, we cannot afford any uncertainty around the tax rate, and we certainly welcome the clear and firm statements by all the main political parties when they say that our corporation tax is not for changing. And I would like to take this opportunity to recognise An Taoiseach. I'd like to recognise An Taoiseach for your steadfast protection of our corporate tax rate during your tenure as Minister for Finance and during your tenure as Taoiseach. Thank you very much, Taoiseach. The final one, talent. Our skilled workforce also remains of critical importance. Continued investment in education is vital. The funding of our third and fourth level research has helped develop a world-class research base here in Ireland in areas like healthcare, software, electronics and biotechnology. And this will be very important in terms of attracting new investments to Ireland in the future. But we cannot rely purely on the state to carry the burden, and the private sector, including the multinational companies based here, must play its part as well. This is already happening with many companies in the healthcare, software and electronics sectors who are collaborating with our universities on a number of research efforts. I've already referred to the quite dramatic improvements in unit costs and productivity over the past 2 years, but it's not enough, and indeed in its latest quarterly report, which was published in January, the central bank warned of the need for cost competitiveness to be boosted further and warned that costs still have not come down enough. If we continue to address our cost base here and restore our international competitiveness, I believe we can reassemble here in this building in 10 years' time to celebrate our 60th anniversary and look back on another golden decade for Ireland. As an Irishman, I'm really proud of the relationship that we have built up with the United States over the years. And it's not just an economic relationship, it's also a historical and cultural relationship. I'm very fortunate myself that I work for a great company that's given me opportunities that I would never have thought possible. And today we have 600 US companies based in Ireland. But the one point I would make is this does not have to be as good as it gets. This does not have to be as good as it gets. We're in a very strong position to grow that relationship further. The opportunities are there, people. Let's seize them. Thank you very much.